government gets to give us our rights, that means government can ration our rights. Government can restrict our rights. Government to decide who, when, where, and how we get these rights. That's the crowd we've got right now. So what I'm basically trying to say is, what we have is a systematic replacement of the rule of law by the consent of the governed with the rule of man. Coming out of the gates, we started cutting our own budget. Coming out of the gates, we repealed Obamacare. Just this week, you know what's great about the debate we're having this week in the House? We're having a debate about how much we should cut spending. Not whether we should spend more, but how much less. And you know what? Next week, we're bringing the bill to the floor that's going to cut spending more than the Pledge for America said we would cut. We're bringing a... We basically need to ask ourselves, what should government be doing? What sort of people do we want to be? What kind of character do we want our children and grandchildren to have? The answers to these questions dictate the size of government. If you believe government should be doing more to solve every social problem, you cannot also believe in limited government. Society's potential problems are unlimited. So a government that would solve problems without limit must necessarily have power without limit to do it. You know, today, there are a lot of people who are saying that modern society is just too complicated for the average man and woman to deal with. This is a long-standing argument. We've heard it since the 1920s and before. We've heard it a lot since the last mortgage crisis and the financial meltdown. They tell us we need more financial experts and technocrats making more details, more decisions without political interference from Congress or from the likes of you. That's what they're basically telling us. Well, if we choose to have a federal government that tries to solve every problem, and then as long as society keeps getting more and more complex, government's going to have to keep growing along with it. The rule of law by the people must be reduced, and the arbitrary discretion by experts must be expanded under this worldview. You know how this story ends. Just look across the Atlantic Ocean. There is no government wizard who knows everything about all of our collective needs and our collective talents. Each person is the world's top expert on his or her own unique skills. The people as a whole understand society as a whole, no matter how complicated it gets. This humble truth was recognized in the birth of Western civilization, an idea that is under stress and attack right now. It's the basis of democratic capitalism. It guided those who incarnated the American idea in a constitution that recognizes the natural limits of government. Free markets under the rule of law will always be the rock of our prosperity, and there is no substitution to that. And this tipping point is coming to us. We can decide to give our children a future that's going to be less than what our parents and our grandparents had. We can buy into the fable that there is no future unless government wins the future for us. We can choose to relegate America to another chapter in the history of declining nations. But why on earth would we make that choice? All that stands between us today and abundance tomorrow is the burden of public debt, the government's appetite to spend, and the bureaucrats' passion to regulate. We can lift that burden, and here's what we need to do now that we're in the second half. We owe it to the country to give them a choice of two futures. We owe it to the country to let them choose in 2012, not let the bureaucracy make it happen automatically.